Good morning, beautiful people. Welcome to the market call for today, the 15th of June, 2026. We're excited to have you all here joining us today on the market call. My name is CJ, and together with me, we have Cynthia, Avi, Demola, and Lakon. And we're going to be sharing with you our thoughts, our trade markups, and possible trades that we're going to be executing today for the market call. This is what we have in store for you as we proceed into the main part of today's market call. Starting off with our analysis on gold against the dollar. We have been seeing a surge on gold starting from Thursday last week into Monday this week. And this surge has been coming from the uncertainties around the geopolitical tension that has been trending on the week for the past couple of weeks right now. We're seeing that there might be some possible talks between US and Iran, but the environment still seems a bit hostile, and we are not sure, or we are not going to conclude that they are going to have a peaceful resolution at this time. So there is fear in the market, there is panic, because we have two erratic countries trying to make a resolution, and they're not coming to one as soon as we prefer. So we're now seeing gold rally to the upside, although the gold rally is coming after a very strong bearish expansion on gold all the way to 4,000. We're now seeing a quick retracement back to the upside. For me this morning, we have seen gold trade at 4,250. Where next place we're expecting it to get is 4,500. This is like the next price point or next water point we're expecting gold to trade to. So right now we're looking at the bullish gold because of the confluence between geopolitical tension and the retracement of the previous expansion on gold. So in that light, I'm looking out for buys on gold this morning. Looking at 4-hour time frame on gold, you can see that there was a quick push to the upside. On some brokers, you see that this is a wide gap. So we might be expecting a retracement. Notice I use the word might because we are not very certain at this time what will drive the market on each individual session. So we might be expecting a retracement on gold to this point here, and then a quick expansion. Should that happen, I will be excited to take a quick buy on gold. And like I said, we're targeting 4,500. So right here, okay, is our target on gold. So let me redraw my path as per my expectation on gold this morning. So we're expecting price to get all the way to 4,500, right? But then there are a few things to mark regarding our point of interest. First is this guy right here. We might be seeing it retrace after reaching this place because of this strong order block. But then this order block would also provide liquidity right above it. So these are two places I'm expecting gold to trade to this morning. So I want to see a short sell to this level and then a buy back to the upside. Should I not see a short sell to this level? If I should see price resuming back to the upside, then we might be looking out for a buy. So at this point, I just want to see a quick sell on gold to this region right here, and then we'll be looking for a buy. If that doesn't happen and we see structure resuming, then we'll just join the buy and ride it all the way to the upside. That is what I'm looking out for on gold, a buy. But before that buy, I want to see a sell. If the sell doesn't happen, a break of structure and then continuous buy, which we're going to be joining. Now let's move to the yen, starting off with the yen basket before we look at the other yen pairs. The yen basket gave a quick retracement 2 weeks ago. Right now, it's looking like it's going to continue the sell-off, which is the current trend. It's been bearish for months now, and we expect that to continue during the week. If you look at the 4-hour time frame, you'd also notice that the buy momentum looks to have ended and the sell momentum is resuming back into the market. So at this point, we're expecting more and more sells on the yen all the way to the downside. Now, if we now want to look at the yen pairs, starting off with GBP JPY, what are our expectations on GBP JPY? Let's look at the daily time frame. Now, on the daily time frame, you see that the buy momentum is resuming on GBP JPY, and it's showing us that we might start having smooth rides on the trends for GBP JPY, Euro JPY, and the likes, because the yen intervention is seeming to have ended. The Bank of Japan were previously buying back their bonds, causing heavy chaos in the market because of the intervention in their currency, because they would not want it to be devalued. But at this time, they have retreated and everything is looking to be normal right now. So we're looking forward to taking smooth trades and having smoother trends on the yen pairs. On GBP JPY, we have a box pattern right here on the 1-hour time frame that I'm very interested in executing my buy on, because we want to see price trace into this level here, and then we'll be getting a buy. So from that, we have our trade for the day on GBP which will be giving us a trade right here. And we're going to be targeting the previous highs that price has taken, and it's a minimum of 1:3. So we should be looking forward to something like this on GBP. So my entry on GBP will be around 214.796. My stop loss will be around 214.422. And then my take profit on GBP will be right around 215.988. So this is the trade for the day on GBP. Then if you look at Euro JPY, we're not having the same markup on Euro JPY just as we have on GBP JPY, but instead on Euro JPY, we would want to see a quick retracement into a fair value gap on the 1 hour time frame, which is right here. So this should give us a heavy discount on the price of Euro JPY so that we can look for a possible entry from there moving forward. So for Euro JPY, I want to see a retracement into this region and then I'll buy back up. But if that doesn't happen, looking at the fact that price has already started creating structure, right here on the 15 minutes order block, Euro JPY could give us an entry. So from here or from here, either of these two places will give us an entry on Euro JPY. And by entry, what you want to see right here is either a bullish engulfing or an evening star pattern, which we call the variation pattern. Once that prints out on Euro JPY and on GBP JPY, we're going to be executing our buy to the upside. And our target for Euro JPY buy will be right around this box pattern right here on the 1 hour time frame as well. So we'll be targeting the 1 hour time frame box pattern to the upside as our target for the buy. We're exiting our buy right around this region. Okay, so that's for Euro JPY. So for GBP JPY and Euro JPY, we're looking out for buys. Same thing on gold, but for gold, we're waiting for a retracement and then we'll execute our buy to the upside. All right. So we're going to continue this analysis looking at the dollar index. We're going to be looking at GBP USA and Euro USD. To take us further on that, we'll have Cynthia here on the market color sharing her thoughts with us. Good morning, Cynthia.
The market has for us this morning, right? So stay with me while I share my screen. On the XY, I usually would like to start from weekly time frame, and as you can see right here, we're looking at this point of interest for a period of time now for price to trade into 107.490. Why? Because there's another block right here and there's a left shoulder at that POI, right? So price has been ranging for a period of time, so I expect price to push up, trade all the way to this left shoulder and sell off that point. It's the weekly time frame. It's going to take a period of time before price does that. And on the daily time frame, as we can see right here, price has traded into 97.912, right? Is reacting off that level to the upside, and we may see price clearing this liquidity residing at 100.504. On the 4-hour time frame, however, I'm expecting price to retreat right back into the left shoulder right here at 97.912, shoulder sweep to the downside, break to the upside. Once price returns into this level 97.912, I want to buy the XY. So I'm looking out for a sell-off into the left shoulder right here. Again, 97.912 before buying the XY. So I'm looking for a sell to buy on the X1 4-hour time frame. Looking out for entries as to where I want to take the sell from. There's the left shoulder right here. There's an entry at 100.120, right? Shoulder sweep break once price returns into our POI. Please send. I want you to set a pending order at 100.120, a sell limit on the 1 hour time frame. Once price gets there, we're actually willing to sell DXY. And on GBP USD, let's see what the market has for us this week. On the daily time frame, On the weekly time frame, I beg your pardon, I want to see price retracing into 1.24683. Price has been ranging. We should see a break below the range for price to retrace all the way into the left shoulder on the weekly time frame. And on the daily time frame, price is reacting off the left shoulder at 1.35489. And of course, I'm targeting this low first, the low right here at 1.31852. And my second target for taking profit is 1.30143 on the daily time frame. Coming to the 4-hour time frame, I'm willing to sell off the XY price as or GBP USD price has traded into this other block right here at 1.34508, and we're seeing some reaction of that level. Let's see if we can find an entry on the 1-hour time frame. Price traded into this level, right? Tapped into this left shoulder at 1.34587, and we're seeing a reaction of that level. All things being equal, we should see price selling all the way into this low right here at 1.33235. We should see price reacting off this level and selling all the way into the low right here. Right, so I'm looking out for a sell on GBP USD throughout this week. Looking out for a buy on the XY. Of course, we're looking out for a short-term sell on the XY. We're looking out for a long-term buy this week, and we're looking out for a long-term sell on GBP USD. Let's head straight to Euro USD to see what the market has for us this morning and into the remaining part of this week. On the weekly time frame also, we want to see price retracing into 1.06633. Right, shoulder sweep break. Once price returns into this level, I want to buy Euro USD. On the daily time frame, of course, price is reacting off this left shoulder that I've been looking at for a period of time now. Price tapped into it, and we're seeing price selling all the way. So we want to see price taking out the low right here at 1.14179 on the daily time frame. And on the 4-hour time frame, we're seeing that overall direction is actually bearish, and price has tapped into this other block. We should see price reacting off this level all the way to the downside. I'm expecting further sales on Euro USD into the rest of this week. So price tapped into this level, 1.16299, and we're seeing a reaction of that level. Let's see if we can spot an entry so that we can be right on time to enter the market. There is none yet. On the 1-hour time frame, I want to see price retracing right into this other block before selling Euro USD. So once price retraces into the 1-hour other block and calling out the price point 1.16382, I am shorting Euro USD. So we should see a push to the upside, one more push into this other block, and then we want to short Euro USD. With that being said, I've come to the end of my market color session. We'll be heading straight in the synthetics market to see what the market has for us. And taking us on that is Lekon Ushiemi. Lekon, what are you seeing in the synthetics market this morning and into the remaining part of this week?
Good morning, Cynthia. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Market Color brought to you by the Value Flow Trading Team. So this morning we'll be heading straight into the synthetic market to see what exactly has been going on. The past weekend has been a lot of jolly full, if I may use the word. And if you look at it right from the 24-hour time frame, starting with V75 to be specific, looking at the 24-hour time frame, if you see, we already have price, we've been within this range for a long period of time now, and price came all the way, took out this low, and now we already see price swept liquidity at this point up, right? So right now price has returned back within that range, and that is giving us some level of concern, because if you look at it, we are going to see that we are back into that range. And what we do in the range, in a ranging market, is to stay out or watch. If price is at the extreme premium end, then we look for opportunity to short, or if it's at the extreme discount, we look for opportunity to buy. However, on this daily time frame, we can see this order block, showing up around this level here, and we can see how the price took out this liquidity. But my concern was that after this liquidity was formed, this low wasn't taken out. This ultimate low wasn't taken out, and that is the concern. So that is telling us that there's high probability we see price move further to the upside. However, since liquidity has been taken out, we can still go to our lower time frame to look for short entries and take the sell, few sell, and the sell is just more like a scalp, while at the same time the buy also looks more as a scalp until we get a definite market structure shift, which is going to happen when price fully takes out this high. Until we see price takes out this side, that's when we confirm the market structure shift that we can definitely now begin to look for opportunity to long 75 for the hop. Okay, now on the 4-hour time frame, let's go to see what is going on in the market. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, the last swing, you can see everywhere is still very much bullish. So we go to our 1-hour time frame to see if there's any entry we can take advantage of, which I've spotted some few ones are right now. So for the buy, just the way we set on the daily time frame, for the buy, we can see this is where we have our clear move looking more like it. For the buy scenario, we can see this is our shoulder. We see how this took out liquidity here and build some level of inducement here, and we see proper break to the upside. So what we're waiting for the buy is that price would, this sell we see coming all the way down, when it trades into this shoulder level, taking out this liquidity level, taking out this level here, then we can look for opportunity to long V75 at this point, right? So this is going to be it for V75 with our stop loss, very, very tiny one, and just be a bit benevolent enough, and we are trading it all the way up. You can do your 1:3, 1:4, 1:5, whichever plays out with your trading plan, you follow through. All right, so that is for V75 for the buy scenario. However, for the sell too, you're going to agree with me that we have a shoulder level here, and we've seen a sweep of liquidity with a break of market structure, all right, around this zone, just the way you're seeing it here, right? So this is it, and we already see the break further to the downside. So I'm of the opinion that when price comes back into this zone with this reference of the fair value gap printed around this level here, we want to see price, when price get back there, you want to see some reaction and go to your lower time frame for your entry confirmation. So in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say is that when price gets to this zone, we'll look for opportunity to short V75 if we see any. Is not, funniest thing is that the stop loss is not really, the risk is not really much on both sides, both the buy setup and the sell setup. So it's just a normal thing you can easily take and just target your 1:3 or 1:4. Now, looking at what we have here, if this plays out first, then we are targeting price trading into this zone here. But if this plays out first, then we are targeting price getting to this zone. That implies that when price gets to this zone, we are getting out of the trade, while at the same time when price gets to the buy setup, you are exiting yourself. So it's still within the range. So it's just more like we are buying at selling at premium and buying at discount of a daily range. All right, so that is that for V75. Let's quickly take a move to 751S before we call it today. For 751S, looking at the daily time frame, you're going to agree with me that we already have the market structure shift proper all the way to the upside. You can see the sweep of liquidity, the break of market structure, the pullback, and now we have the proper break again. So this is a very clean and clear boss pattern playing out for you and I to see in the market. And as you can see, price taking out this high and also reversing back all the way, tapping into this level tapping into this zone for the buy that happened some days ago and push further to take out this high again. So where is the next price delivery coming into? I'm still of the opinion that we are still heading all the way to the upside, although we have for a long time now we've been expecting price to trade into somewhere around this zone here. If you have been following the market color, you can also go and check out the replay. However, I'm of the opinion that we are most likely going to see two things happen because this level has been tested now, so it's gone. Now, the next set of the next play I'm looking out to see is that price coming all the way to, take out this point that we have here because of the market structure shift that we have at the top. So if for any reason this set is coming all the way down, it's coming to take out this low, and we should have some level of reaction around this shoulder. We already have our shoulder somewhere here with a confluence of the other block just below it. All right, so this other block should react to price. So in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say is that when price gets to this level and takes out this liquidity, particularly this one here, then this fair value gap that we are seeing here should react to price. But I will be more benevolent to risk all the way to this level here for 751S, and we follow through to the upside. However, structure within structure, this is on the daily time frame. Before price trades all the way to this level, let's quickly check out what is happening on the 4-hour, even on the 1-hour. For the 4-hour time frame, you can see we're having a pause pattern playing out somewhere within this zone because we already have a sweep of liquidity somewhere below here, right? And since price already swept liquidity at this low, we expect that when price pull all the way back to this zone, all the way into this shoulder here, and the other block with a fair value gap. So when price taps into this zone, then we should see price reaction all the way to the upside. So this is another setup on our 4-hour time frame that I truly believe would play out. So this is the first entry for us, and we are following it all the way back up, while the second entry is going to be this particular one that we mark on the daily time frame. So if you look at that one we marked on the daily time frame, is much more clearer, just the way you can see it here and now, just for price to come take out this low, and we follow through all the way, while at the same time when price get to this zone on the 4-hour time frame, we can easily follow through. Just check your lower time frame like 15 minutes for entry signature, and you follow through. In case you are joining us for the first time thinking what exactly is your entry signature, all you need to do is just to sign up for the ATM cash flow. Reach out to us on any of our social media handle, and we give you the link and you sign up as fast as possible because the training is going to happen in the next few days. All right, so that is the end for the opportunity we have in the synthetic markets today, looking at the 75 and the 751S. Let's quickly get to the synthetic market to check the indices market, to check what are the opportunities there, and bringing that to us this morning is Demola. Good morning, Demola.
Good morning, Rico. Thank you for that one. All right, on indices, we have a really interesting scenario going on. As you know, the market is quite interesting at this point in time. During the weekend, we have very major news announcements, right? Which is that both Iran and US finally came to a compromise, and then they've made an agreement. In fact, President Trump said that the deal is completed. That's basically what he said verbatim, right? So we saw that spike across the board. If you notice, Euro USD, GBP USD, every USD related pair rallied, including probably gold and everything, right? Rallied in the midnight when the market opened, right? And then we saw that also extensively across indices. Okay, starting with US 30,
starting with US 30 on the weekly time frame, we can see that price have tested this zone, and then we are finally back to where we were 2 weeks ago. That's 1st of June, right? And then we are fully bullish. Price testing this other block on the weekly time frame. On the daily time frame, what do we have? We have the market testing this other block, right? We just a what? We just a week, right? We have a week retracement on this other block. Week to week, we see it. Okay, week to week, we have just a week test, and then price, you know what, pushing to the upside. I remember speaking about this. I think that would be probably some weeks ago, definitely not last week. I think 2 weeks ago, about this other block, either on US 30 or NAS 100. Not NAS 100, on S&P 500, right? So we had price testing this zone. Okay, we have price testing this zone, and then a bullish rally to the upside, all right, clearing this previous high. One thing about the US 30 market, unlike every other market, is that it's primarily driven by fundamental, especially in this period, in this season we are, right? Unlike Euro USD or even synthetic, that is not even affected with the market. This is 100% market driven, right? It tweets a quote from what's it called now? From social, right? Truth social can affect or drive this market either to the upside or the downside. So it's quite dynamic. If you don't see us doing more technicals and then keep talking about the news, this is doing that, this is doing that, fundamental news generally. That's because this market is 100% or 80%, just to be generous or to be modest, is driven by fundamentals. So on the 1 hour time frame, what do we have? We have price, giving like a sweep of this shoulder here, just with a week, right? Or you can use this and then a break to the upside. Eventually, we've not seen this break happen properly. We've not seen this break. However, we've seen price broken these zones, right? This one here. We've seen price broken these zones. And so we expect that when price come back, let's use this as a sweep, our area of sweep, area of liquidity, a sweep, and then a break to the upside. We have an other block sitting pretty much here, right? All of this is dependent on the fact that price retrace into this zone, right? We now want to take a buy from this zone to the next quarter point level. The next quarter point level from this zone is 55,000, which is still very far ahead, but it's not out of reach, right? 55,000 QP level. It's not out of reach, especially with the momentum that comes with trading US 30 volume. All right, so that being said, this is also like possible trade for this week. There's just something I'm concerned about, which is it's typical for US 30 to, after breaking this type of high, a previous high, it will just look for the nearest area of interest and then either a fair value gap or another block, and then use that to continue its movement. So I'm being also concerned about this level again, although nothing is supporting this except that it's just another block, right? Another block sitting on a previous resistance tone All right, apologies for the network glitch. Let's continue. Okay. I believe you can hear me now. All right, like I was saying, right? If we don't see a break of these zones today, right, by New York session and then probably news that support the market being extremely bullish, then we want to wait for price to come all the way to this zone and then put our buys from here, right? That being said, let's move quickly to US 30 to NAS 100. On NAS 100, market is still our chart is still loading. Let me reload the page. Okay. Hopefully, I believe the condition of the market is even improve across the board with the announcement we made about 2.5 hours ago. Yeah. I think talking about the deal structure. Okay, while my chart loading, I need it to load here somewhere. That's not that. Okay. So that's thank you for your patience. My chart is still loading. The network is quite unstable this morning. Quite unstable this morning. Overall, I'm pretty bullish this week. All things being equal, because you know the president, the number one president of the whole world, is really can very funny in the approach. But now it says that it is strong. That's a very it's a statement of fact, right? Meaning saying the deal is completed, not that we are in the process, means that definitely something has done. We've done something in the background. All right, coming back to our weekly time frame on US 100, that's Nasdaq. We saw a retest of this fair value gap. Although price still have every tendency to go to the downside, we have overall even our fib level, this zone here, the trading fib, we have trading box strategy, we have all of this for box. See, they all complement each other, sweep break, and all of this, right? Regardless of which of the styles you use or trading method you use to trade, we still have every incentive to come to the downside. However, like I mentioned, this market is primarily driven by fundamentals, especially in this market cycle. So you want to look more towards the fundamental side of things than just using technical analysis, right? I lose, right? Coming to the 1 hour time frame, what do we have? What do we have here? Unlike now somewhere, there's no shift, there's no break yet. That we have. The price didn't shift this level, right? So we might have to be patient on NAS 100 and wait for analysis on S&P 500. If we can get a buy for S&P 500, I'll be more interested in taking a buy on S&P 500 rather than on NAS 100, right? What we have here is analysis for a sell, right? Price selling off from this zone. All right, that being said, on NAS 100, S&P 500, we have a strip, right? We have a strip here. We have a strip and a brief of structure to the upside. So there's every incentive for price to come into this zone, right? This fair value, this order block. This order block here, and price coming into this order block, we buy here all of these the previous high, right? So, but that means that though the market is still bullish, we want to see a gradual retracement into this level. If for any reason we see more fundamental news, and for those asking, where do I get fundamental news? The first one is forexlive.com. I believe they've rebranded now into a new, what's it called now? A new website. They've gotten a new domain name, right? So if we get a more gradual, news coming out by before New York session that supports our bullish position, then price have every incentive to pick up from this zone here, right? But if that's not the case, then we believe that a retracement into 7,300 would give us that bullish push to the upside. All right, that being said, any other analysis we have about the market will be sent to the market follow group during the week. Of course, if we take note of this price point, that we've marked out into New York session, we should get more, insight into what will happen in the market. All right, that being said, we'll move very quickly to the commodity market to see what we have going on there for us this week. All right, over to you, Abigail. How's the commodity market doing?
Thank you, Demola. Hi, everyone. Welcome once again to the Value for Trading's Market Colors session. So I'm going to quickly take us through this market and see the opportunities that present themselves today and also the overall view for this week. Starting off with a look at AUD/USD on the 4 hours time frame. Now, looking at this, whether you trade naked charts, trade technical analysis and indicators, it's clear that the major structure here is predominantly to the buy side. But then we pay attention to our most recent price action, and you see where we saw a change of character and a confirmatory break of structure that has now happened on this asset class. Now, for those of us who are already familiar with this strategy, I believe you already know what I'm going to be looking out for. Those of us who are not, I'd like to indulge us to ensure we take note of the price point so you don't allow it to distract you or make it confuse you. It is quite simple. If you do not have these indicators, what you are watching out for is strictly the price levels that I'll be calling out during the course of this session. Now, for AUD/USD, price has broken structure once. It came back here and broke another structure point to the downside. Then we saw this retracement after a sunshine indicator, which basically indicates our profit taking. After this was printed, the retracement started. However, there has been no sunshine on the opposite direction. When that sunshine is printed, it will show to me that people who are taking this retracement are gradually taking their profits out from the market. But that has not happened yet here. So I still believe that there's still a bit of room for AUD/USD to push a bit higher before it continues these new structure points that we're seeing it print on the chart. If you look at this zone, though, this is a previous support that could act as current resistance, and you can already see the reactions of it. Price tapped into that level and started to react to the downside. So it's likely that we're going to be seeing our sunshine indicator printed on this chart anytime soon, and the sell continued to the downside. When you come to the 1 hour time frame now, you'd see how this sunshine has already been printed around that POI I just spoke on, and it's already reacting to the downside. So I know that this may look choked up, so let me just take it as gradual as I can. So AUD/USD is confirming more sell structures for us, and this is the buy that we just spoke on. Sunshine has been printed here, and we're expecting price to now start to react off this level. You see that I drew two horizontal lines around these POIs. The first one being 0.70996, second one being 0.711518, right? What does this mean? Basically saying that this was expected because this is a key point of interest that would have ideally marked out. This is a zone more than it is a price point, because I know not all of us have these indicators. please take it as a zone, yeah? So price has now tapped into this level. Is it possible that we're going to see AUD/USD give us, since it's already reacting from where it currently is, we could see more sell-offs from here, come back, tap into the next major point of interest, or even the 5-minute POIs, and then give us more buys that will come to tap into the next levels. You know, price moves, it moves in characteristic patterns. You'll be selling lower highs, lower lows, buying higher highs, higher lows. It doesn't just move in one straight line. So it's possible that price will just come and do this, another retracement, and then buy in line with this. However, if the sell is going to happen, best believe that this zone is going to be violated to the downside and we'll see more sell structures. Remember, today is Monday, market is still just realigning for the new week. So by tomorrow, everything will be even much clearer. Going to the 5-minute time frame now to mark out. I'll go back to delete this because it looks taking up a lot of space on the 5-minute time frame. So let's get this out of our chart, shall we? On the 5-minute time frame now, what do we see? You see that I already mapped out 4 basic points of interest. The first one being 0.70591, second 0.70547, the third one 0.70198, and the fourth one 0.69806. What is the purpose of all of these points of interest? I'm saying that since you've already traded into a possible support or resistance on the higher time frame, I want to see you sell. And as much as I know you're going to sell, I want to see which level would hold. Is it this, or this? And when I come here, when price eventually comes here, there are certain characteristic patterns that will give me that confirmation that they're going to hold, and then the buy will either continue or violate all of these zones and continue to sell, making me believe that this change of character and confirmatory breaker structure that we saw on the 4 hours time frame is back in full force, right? So what am I now basically saying? Because of these major points that was printed here, I'm having more sell buyers for AUD/USD, targeting the next major support level on the H4 time frame, which is down here. This is our next major support level, but this is still far. Now you go on the 1 hour time frame, I know you're going to see even more support zones that price could trade into and start to react from. Like here, this is the support level that price traded into before it gave us that reaction. You can see how precise that was, and price started to buy. So is there another support level that price could come and sell into to continue to buy? There's one here. This could serve as a support. That's 0.68953. So watch out for that zone. There's also another one down here, 0.68590. If price doesn't fully come into this level, then we know that it's going to be going for the higher, the resistance zones on the upside, the resistance zones, and there's a bunch of diagonal liquidity also lying around here that price will come and tap. But like I said, today is Monday. We'd watch to see this market give us, clearer movements moving forward. So just take note of this point and let's see what price does around these levels. Moving to the next asset class, which is NZD/USD on the H4 time frame. NZD/USD was stuck in a range as at Friday's analysis, and now price has now broken below that zone and returned into the range. So this buy has happened back into the range. No sunshine has been printed yet. However, one thing is sure is we're expecting price to react from this level either to the downside or violate it, break above, and keep trading to the upside. So this is the reaction we're seeing. Price already came to tap into our 5-minute point of interest, which I'll show you very soon. Tapped into the zone, and has now come attempting to break or violate that level. Let's go to the 5-minute time frame and see what levels we've marked out. So levels we've marked out on M5 are 0.58446, 0.58104, 0.58383, and 0.57687. These are our major POIs. Same thing I spoke on AUD/USD, same thing we're looking out for here. Either you trade below here, come find support, continue to buy, or violate these zones, and I know that the sell of NZD/USD is back in full force. And then finally, looking at USD CAD on the H4 time frame, price has been buying. Look at this, all the way from April to now. It even came to violate this major structure point that we marked out in one of our analysis sessions. It has now broken above this zone. Now, the major resistance zone that I'm looking out for USD CAD is now on the upside here because this has been violated. This is the next zone that I'm watching out for. Sunshine has been printed on this asset class. What does that mean? Profit taking, right? Hence why we saw this sale happen. Now, we now have our 1 hour point of interest again, similar to what we did on the other asset classes, 1.39548, 1.38921, the closest POIs that we now have on USD CAD. Price is already reacting off a major point that has 2 confluences. You can see the horizontal line that I just called out, and you see the 5-minute level that I already marked out. So is USD CAD going to continue to buy from here? One thing will make us know our confirmatory characteristic patterns. Yeah. So we'll go on the 5-minute time frame. Sorry about that. We go on the 5-minute time frame and we mark out our major POIs again. Please write them down: 1.39295, 1.39517, 1.39939, and finally 1.40209. These are now the 4 major POIs that we're watching out for on USD CAD M5. Price already reacted from this zone and is already buying. I believe this would have given us confirmations. So going to the 1-minute time frame to check. This would have given confirmations because price already broke through the 5-minute indicators. So I believe it has also done that, and surely it has. It broke through this, came back to retest this zone. Yeah. So it is possible USD CAD is going to buy and tap all the way into this level. This strategy is very beautiful for scalping. So if you're a scalper or you want to be a scalper, this is the strategy you should learn and make some cool money from this market. Also, don't forget we have some fundamental news releases you want to watch out for. There's one coming out on Aussie specifically. Let's quickly look at that before we call it a wrap for today's session. So today is Monday, June 15th. We have a lot of low impact news releases. However, later in the day, we have cash rates coming out, and this basically just calculates interest rates that is charged on overnight loans between financial intermediaries. And what we want to see is the actual data that comes out becomes greater than what was forecasted, because this basically just calculates interest rates. If this is more hawkish than expected, then it means we're seeing more bullish moves going into the Aussie as a currency, right? So we're going to be watching out for what this market eventually does. So watch out for this. It's going to play a part in what this market does. And then we look at RBA rate statement. RBA rate statement, usual effects, more hawkish than expected, is also good for currency. Cash rate, actual greater than forecast, is also basically the same thing, but I don't want to make the terms, confuse you. So if these come out higher than expected, simply put, we should be seeing more strength going into the Aussie as a currency and see AUD buy more. However, if it comes out lower than expected, then of course the reverse is the case. Also watch out for RBA press conference coming out tomorrow. What other high impact news release do we have this week that has to do with the asset classes we're looking at? We also have one on the dollar coming out on Wednesday. That's federal funds rate on the dollar, FOMC, economic projection statement, and press conference. Watch out for that. There's GDP quarter on quarter on the NZD coming out on Wednesday as well. Also make sure you watch out for that. With that being said, that is pretty much it for commodity currencies. When we see more clarity, best believe we're going to be sharing it in the Sorry about that. The network is pretty crazy today, but we're pretty much done. I look forward to seeing you in the next session. Have an amazing trading week. Cheers to more profitability. Cheers to more profitability. Have a good week. Bye for now, everyone. I remain Sabiadi.